How's it going, everyone? I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And together, we are the two Irish brothers. Well, Ben, the break is over. That big week has arrived. It is the week of the ACC Championship, the first ever conference championship game that the Irish will be playing in. And it is against the Clemson Tigers in the most anticipated rematch of this college football season.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be one heck of a game. Clemson has, in my opinion, more pressure on them than Notre Dame does for a multitude of reasons. So, Clemson's going to want this one, I think, maybe a little more than Notre Dame, so we'll see what happens.
Well, and that's the thing, just getting right to the point here. I mean, there's a couple of different scenarios here, two different scenarios that are really good in our favor. One, we win the game, we're in the playoffs. Simple as that. Number two, even if we were to lose this game but have a very respectful performance, I think we're still in regardless. And especially with what happened last night with LSU knocking off the Florida Gators, that's one less team that's nipping on our heels right now.
Yep.
So, of course, who knows what would happen with Texas A&M. So there's just a lot of different scenarios right now. But I think overall, all these scenarios work in Notre Dame's favor, regardless of what happens in this conference championship game on Saturday. But, of course, the one thing that can hurt us is if we lose, we don't want it to be a blowout, of course. That would hurt us.
Yeah. Yeah, Clemson, like I said, has way more pressure. They are the quote-unquote juggernaut of the ACC. It is their conference. It's been their conference for the last few years. And Notre Dame has come along and kind of bullied their way in a way, and they pushed around, in a way, Clemson and knocked them off. So now Clemson, needs to get back to where they were. And, Notre Dame is in their first season as a conference member, and Clemson's been in the conference for decades. So this is going to be an intense game. This is going to be a really, really, really intense game. And if it tells you anything, College Game Day is going to be at the ACC Championship this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I'm not surprised. This is this very well could be the one and only conference championship that Notre Dame appears in, because Notre Dame, we love our independence. Who knows what after the season is going to lead, if we end up joining the ACC or whatever. This is the one game that everybody is going to have their eyes on this Saturday for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because, this game is the potential for, 3 times that Notre Dame could play Clemson.
Yes.
What happens in the game. And, you like you said, Florida got knocked off by LSU last night. And if Florida beats Alabama in the SEC Championship, then Notre Dame and Clemson, to me, are both in. I mean, so, it's insane to think about. So, and then it's up to the selection committee to say, okay, do we want the rematch to be right away with Clemson and Notre Dame, or do we want it to set up potentially for the national championship?
Yeah, we could very well easily have quite a mess here in these last couple of weeks of, with the conference championship games and the selection committee and all that. They could have their hands full, that committee.
Yeah. So, but the task at hand is beating Clemson for the second time this season. And the task at hand is now switching to stopping Trevor Lawrence, because the first game we didn't see Trevor Lawrence against Notre Dame. We saw DJ
Uyunglele.
So, and granted, I mean, he was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I think he could potentially have a better career than Trevor Lawrence did.
Yes.
At Clemson. And that's saying something. But, Trevor Lawrence is battle proven, and him and Ian Book are both the top dogs right now. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. And, we talked about it in our recap against Syracuse, I really think Notre Dame was prepping during the Syracuse game for Clemson and trying to stop the passing game because they let Syracuse run all over them. So I think that was more of let's get ready for Clemson because this is the biggest game, like you said, of all time for Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, I mean, there's nothing there. If we make the national championship game, there's not going to be anything more important than that. But I'm saying this game is most important because it's likely the only time we're ever going to be in a conference and in a conference championship game. But Ben, you pretty much beat me right to the punch. I mean, that's the main thing that everybody's been talking about. Of course, all the haters are so sure that we're going to lose this game because Trevor Lawrence is going to be back. But also in addition to that, Clemson has back a couple of their key guys on defense, a defensive lineman, and their one linebacker. How do you pronounce his name? Solinsky,
I think. But
yeah. But he's one of their. He's basically one of their leaders on defense, and he wasn't there in the first matchup either in South Bend. So look, I get that there was a lot that Clemson was missing in that meeting in South Bend, but guess what? We were losing a lot too. We were without two of our best receivers, and some other key guys. So I get that, but I get that Lawrence is a very talented football player, very talented quarterback. Kid's a for sure number one draft pick if he wants to go in the draft next year.
Yeah.
But people saying that we're automatically going to lose this game just because Trevor Lawrence is back, that's so silly. And I could think of more derogatory words to use, but I'm not going to. But here's what I say to that. Their backup, DJ Uyunglele, in that meeting in South Bend, he put up better numbers than Trevor Lawrence did. He threw for like 440 yards against us and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah.
And look, I understand the difference. I get it. That was only his second ever career start for the Tigers. And Trevor Lawrence, like you said, is battle proven. He's their veteran leader. And I get that does make a difference. But talent-wise, we were able to beat a quarterback that is just as good, if not better, than Trevor Lawrence. So Don't say that just because Trevor Lawrence is playing in this game that we can't win it, that we're incapable of winning it, because that's just foolish.
Yeah.
Because we've got the talent to match this Clemson Tiger team.
Well, and this defense that Clark Lee has put together, I mean, they are the bend but don't break defense. And that's what you need as a championship team.
Yes.
And I think that there's going to be a big chip on the Notre Dame shoulder, if you will, because they're hearing it just like we do, and they say, well, the kids block it out. No, those kids don't block everything out. They see it. And those coaches are bringing it up to them in private meetings. Those coaches are bringing it up to them in film study. That. So if I'm Notre Dame and I'm one of the players on the team for the defense, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show y'all how we roll. You want to say that Trevor Lawrence is going to run all over us. You want to say that Trevor Lawrence is going to do this. Watch us. And that's how it's been all season. Notre Dame has proven time in and time out all season that, through the fire and the flames, they get it done.
Yes.
So, the task at hand is beating Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne and that high-powered Clemson offense. But, Notre Dame has a lot still to prove to the haters, quote unquote, even though they don't, but the chip is there on their shoulder.
Oh yeah. And this is quite the opposite, because even though this is technically, a neutral site game, this is in Clemson's territory.
Yeah.
I mean, they're from South Carolina, the Carolinas,
yes.
Both all the Carolinas, both North and South Carolina, that's Clemson territory. So
yeah.
This is pretty much an away game for us. So now that the tides have turned here, it's our chance to go on the road and play Clemson on a field that's essentially their turf in their backyard. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be tough for us, but we've been meeting, we've been facing those challenges and meeting those expectations all year long. So this won't be the first time we've been in hostile environment. And I'm not sure what the attendance is going to be like for the ACC Championship. I think, isn't it like like a 10,000 limit or something like that?
I would be wrong. 5,200.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to officially announce, but I was hearing, since it's in Charlotte, a big city, they're not going to allow a lot of people in. So I don't know. It's going to be real interesting, so.
Well, regardless, we have a very tough test as far as the territory goes, in addition to the team that we're going to be playing. So
yeah.
The Tigers, I mean, we already know they're going to be hungry. They're thinking, what happened 5-6 weeks ago in South Bend. They haven't forgotten about it. They're a healthier team. They have some guys back. Trevor Lawrence, Solinsky. I forget the defensive lineman that they lost, but he's back. So it's gonna be just as tough as it was like the meeting in South Bend. So if not, this one's gonna be intensified. What more can I say? I mean, I'm rambling like an idiot, but everybody gets the point.
Yeah,
I just can't stress this stuff enough.
Yeah, and the cool thing is it's a rematch, and it was an instant classic when Notre Dame played Clemson the first time in South Bend. I feel like this could be another instant classic if Notre Dame can play the way they started playing against Clemson last game. Notre Dame could blow Clemson out of the water, because I mean, think of how many points they left on the board, or off the board, if I should say, against Clemson.
Yes.
So, this offense, Ian Book's done it once, and I think that Ian Book has the confidence that we have not seen until this season, and he is the biggest game changer other than Trevor Lawrence in this game.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, I mean, we have played against Trevor Lawrence once, and we all remember that. It was the 2018 Cotton Bowl, and that Clemson team just smoked us. But this is 2 years later, and we are a much different team. Ian Book is more confident. We have a lot more talent in place, a better defense. Pretty much the whole defense is healthy.
Yeah.
So we've already proven it once that we can compete with the big boys and win those matchups against the big boys. So nobody can say that anymore.
Right.
We've already proven that we can win these games, and this is our opportunity to really make a statement and, again, show all the haters, not just because of who we're playing against and who's back for Clemson, but also for all the people that have said that, we would never last playing in a conference. We'd go 500 at best. Well, now we're a game away from winning that conference. So we have a chance to make that statement and maybe, show the haters like, hey, y'all might want to rethink your thought process, because your thought process is looking pretty sad right now.
Yeah. I mean, worst case scenario, Notre Dame has one conference loss and goes back to independence with one conference loss with an appearance in the championship their first season.
Exactly. I mean, that's impressive in itself, just to get that far.
Notre Dame has gone above and beyond expectations. Even pundits that we don't normally hear praise from are praising Notre Dame, if you will. So there's a lot of pressure on both sides, and I feel like there is a very, very special, unique magic this year that we haven't seen in many, many years.
Yeah.
And Brian Kelly and Ian Book can write themselves in the history books, not only in Notre Dame lore, but in college football lore, with 3 more wins.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know there's some people out there that don't like the fact that, Brian Kelly is in that company with, the likes of Newt Rockne and Lou Holtz and Ara Parseghian. Well, you don't have to like the guy as a person, but, you can at least respect him as a damn good football coach, and what he is, a damn good football coach. And the funny thing is, I think about all these games in the past that he lost early in his tenure with us that should not have been lost. Like, for example, the Tulsa game in 2010. He could actually already be at that mark already.
Yeah.
If we just didn't let a few of them slip away like we did early on. But you know what? That's all water under the bridge. The bottom line is Brian Kelly's a damn good coach, and he's proven that. I mean, look at the recruiting classes that he's brought in, the guys that he's brought here to this program, and he's had a lot of success with them. I mean, three undefeated regular seasons, which we hadn't seen in a long time. So he's taken us to places that we haven't seen literally since the Lou Holtz days.
Yeah. And it's up to him and the players to continue to write this history, and like you said with recruiting, look at what we've started to do this season recruiting wise. I mean, we're getting guys left, right, and center that are 4- and 5-star recruits. Notre Dame's starting to push, into that top 10, top 5 recruiting classes with what's going on. So that's showing that there's something special going on. But you continue the specialness by beating Clemson in the ACC Championship in their territory.
Yes. And get it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were going to finish something.
That's the task at hand. We can't be looking forward to the playoffs. We can't be looking past Clemson, wondering if Alabama or Florida or A&M or whoever's going to be there. It's beat Clemson. Do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter if it is by 1 point or 100 points. You beat Clemson, period.
And that's the number one thing that I hope Brian Kelly and his coaching staff are banging into these guys' heads. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Worry about yourself and the task at hand.
Yep.
And so speaking of the task at hand, we kind of got off there, but let's get back to the ACC Championship. I want to talk strategy real quick for Notre Dame. So the first things first. I know that what you were saying about Notre Dame when they played against Syracuse, you thought they were getting ready for Clemson. All right, fair enough. They're preparing for that Trevor Lawrence passing game, which is very good, no question. But overall, on either side of the ball, we cannot get off to a slow start in this game. Now, and the thing is this: you can get away with getting off to a slow start against a Syracuse or a Duke or a Pittsburgh. You can't do that against a team like Clemson because they will make you pay for it. Yes, any top elite program in the country, they're going to make you pay for every mistake that you make. And granted, sometimes it doesn't always hurt us. I mean, even in the first matchup against Clemson, we made some mistakes that did not end up hurting us, but just don't make them to begin with. Yeah. Protect that ball. Don't turn it over. Play smart football, but not just play smart football in the field. Coach smart on the sidelines and up in that press box. Hence Brian Kelly and Clark Lee up in the booth. Yeah.
No, Notre Dame has to be smart. We cannot have what happened in past games, like losing Kyle Hamilton to a targeting call. This is a situation where we've seen it in the past. We've seen it where we lose a key player and it's all downhill. Thinking of Jalen Smith against Ohio State, and situations like that. We can't have that happen. Have to be disciplined. And, if Notre Dame can stay disciplined against Clemson, they can win the game. Either team can win this game. And it's shown that both teams are capable of beating the other one. But it all depends on execution. And like you said, if we don't get off to a fast start, it could be a long day against Clemson. And vice versa. If Clemson doesn't get off to a fast start, it could be a long day for them. So, the defense has to continue to be the defense that it's been all year. That elite, shut down the running game, shut down the passing game, do what you got to do, force them into bad situations. That's what has to happen.
And one key situation in this game is the relationship between quarterback and center. Now, obviously, we know that center Jared Patterson is out for the rest of the year. We've known that for several weeks now after he got hurt. Last I checked, Brian Kelly was looking at two guys to start at center, either Josh Lugg or what's the other one's name? Cornell. I forget his first name, but he's a young guy. I think a freshman. Regardless of who starts at center, that guy and Ian Book, they have to be clicking on all cylinders here. They have to be able to, really get the snap count down, the exchange, because we've seen a couple times already since Patterson has been out that there's been some bad snaps, and we got it back, but
Right.
Can't have that in a big game like this. So quarterback and center, that's going to be a key thing to watch in this game, and they've got to be clicking. Whoever that is that ends up starting at center for the Irish, him and Ian Book.
Yeah,
because that's going to be huge.
And to take it a step further with what you're saying, okay, best case scenario, we beat Clemson and we're ACC champions and we move on to the playoffs. Okay, now you have two potential games still in the playoffs where you have to be the center, okay? And you're going to go up against a team that is as good as Clemson, if not better. So, like you said, they have to be clicking on all cylinders because it's not just this game. It could be potentially two others. So, that will really, really dictate how things are going to roll against Clemson.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And myself personally, I really don't want to try to look too far past this game, but you're absolutely right. I mean, if, the potential in the playoffs, if we get there, that relationship between quarterback and center is going to be even more important then. But getting back to the game, with Clemson having some key guys back on defense in this matchup, that means I think that Brian Kelly and Tommy Rees might have to change up the playbook a little bit and change up the play calling. I mean, because that first game, second play of the game, Kyron Williams ran all over that Clemson defense. Will he be able to do that this time around? I don't know. But what kind of attack? I mean, myself, I'd say just like some kind of balanced attack. But what on offense, play-wise, what would you like to see the Irish do more of in this game? What do you think would work the best?
I think that Notre Dame needs to get the running game going and force Clemson to load that box. Force Clemson to prepare and try to stop the run. And then when they start getting comfortable with trying to stop the run, it's time to go to the air. That's what has to happen because we've seen the emergence of two amazing receivers in the Notre Dame receiving corps with he's been out for most of the season. I can't think of his name now. Who am I?
Austin?
Huh? I'm trying to think of who's been out.
No, I know. Kevin Austin? Braden Lindsey?
Braden Lindsey.
Okay. Well, Austin's out for the year. What am I talking about?
We've seen the emergence, and we've seen big catches in big situations. We've seen, we got to get Michael Mayer going. Michael Mayer had an absolutely amazing and phenomenal game against Clemson last time. He was a man among boys. And this dude's only a freshman. That's what just blows me away is this dude's a freshman. So you get that running game going with Williams and Tyree, and then you go over the top and you start dropping bombs because that's what Clemson's going to try to do. They're going to try to give ETN the ball. They're going to try to force Notre Dame just to try to stop the run. And last time, that's how we started really chipping away at that Clemson defense. They tried to load that box up, and the offense went to the air, and the air started slicing them up. So I think Notre Dame has the edge defensive passing-wise over Clemson. I don't think Clemson has as good a secondary as Notre Dame does. Now you can say, well, look what DJ did, but the running game was non-existent in that game. He had to do that to keep up with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
He didn't have to pass the ball to keep up with Clemson. It was the other way around.
Exactly. When you're holding Travis Etienne, who is now the ACC's all-time leading rusher, to 28 yards, that's going to force your quarterback to throw the ball 40 or 50 times.
Yeah.
So our defense, despite the close score and it took overtime for us to beat them, we did our job. But of course, when you stop that run, yeah, you got to get better at stopping the pass as well. So I would definitely like to see a better balanced attack for this game as far as defense goes. But I'm confident that we can do that. I'm confident that Clark Lee will have a great game plan set up. And but of course, like I said, what worries me is Coach Venables for Clemson. He knows how to bring the defensive schemes too. He's done a phenomenal job for that program, and they've been in the national title picture the last 8-9 years for a reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I mean, the other thing that needs to be stressed for this game is if it is not working, do not force it. Like we've seen that in the past.
Thank you.
Like, let's run the ball up the middle. Okay, well, it hasn't worked the last 10 times, so it'll work the 11th. No, like go to the edge, go to the air, go, do swing passes, do screens, whatever. Just stop trying to force it because, I mean, this is an elite defense. This is an elite offense. Clemson's going to force you out of your comfort zone. That's what they did last time against Notre Dame. So, I mean, this is a team that has won multiple national titles. This is a coaching staff that has won multiple national titles. They've been through it all. They've seen it all. They've been in this situation. Notre Dame's never been in this situation before.
Yeah.
Uncharted waters. This is just business as usual for Clemson coming into this ACC championship.
And if you want to make this business as usual for us on our side of things, you have got to mix things up. You have got to take it to that next level and learn from your mistakes quickly. Just quit being stubborn. And if it's not working, like you said, go to something different. Throw out all the stops.
Yep.
Throw it all out there. Just take care of business, man. What more can I say?
Yep.
Experimentation is over. Freaking do it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Oh no, Ben, you froze. You froze there for a second.
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. It's act like you've been there. That's what you got to do. You got to act like you've been there, and you got to take it a down at a time, and then just remember that if everything doesn't go right the first half, you have the second half to figure it out. It's a game of two halves, not one half.
All I know is what I'm thinking of right now, and something you just said. Notre Dame has got to treat it like this. You've seen the movie Hoosiers, right?
Yes.
Remember when they go into the championship game and Gene Hackman has them measure the free throw line and the height of the hoop, and he says, "I'm sure you guys will notice that these measurements are the same as our gym back in Hickory." That's how the Irish need to approach this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an NFL stadium, but you know what? It's the same dimensions back in South Bend. Yep. Treat it like another day at the office.
Yep.
Just don't be ooh and ah because you're in a major city, an NFL stadium. It's just another field, and do your thing. Do your thing. So with that said, this is the part of the video that we both always like and dread at the same time. Score prediction.
Mm-hmm.
So I will take the first stab at it if you don't mind.
Okay.
I think if we're able to execute properly, protect the football, and force Clemson to play our game, go at our pace, there's no doubt about it. Clemson is an elite program. They're a great team. I don't see us blowing them out in this game. I think this game is going to be just like the last one. It's going to come down to the last possession. I think the Irish win it on a last-second field goal, and I'm going to say 38-35 Irish. They win their first ever ACC championship. Ooh. I do see a lot of points again like the last time.
Yeah. I think it is exactly what you said, though. It is a high-scoring affair. It's going to be a one-possession game. 7 points at most between the two of them, for margin of victory. I say Notre Dame 49, Clemson 42.
Nice.
Final score.
Do you see it being a last possession kind of ordeal, or just?
I can see it, yes. I mean, it can go either way. In all honesty, I mean, Clemson is nothing to scoff at. So, but
No.
I think that this year is special for Notre Dame. They're a team of destiny. 49-42. Notre Dame gets it done, wins their first ever ACC championship, goes undefeated, gets into the playoffs.
I like it. And the funny thing is, I know that these score predictions kind of go against what we were just talking about how great, both these teams' defenses are. But it's just that's what happens when you have an instance of two alpha males going up against each other. They're
Right.
when they clash, they're gonna clash.
Well, I mean, look at what happened in the past matchup. Okay, this last matchup in South Bend, Notre Dame's defense and Clemson's defense were two of the best in the country. And what was the final score exactly? Okay, over 50 points for both teams. Over 50 points. So, I mean, it is what it is. And like you said, it's two alphas going against each other. And yeah, they're still having the elite defenses, but they're going to have to keep up with one another, and it's going to be a shootout.
I mean, you got an elite defense going up against an elite offense. Both offenses, they know how to score points, and it's just a matter of it's just a common sense thing. Something's got to give.
We've only seen, in the last 50 years, I can honestly say that we've only seen the elite defense beat the elite offense one time. And that's across pro and college. And I'm referencing the Super Bowl between Seattle and Denver.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
exactly. That's the perfect example. So, all right. Well, we have covered everything that we've needed to cover in this video. Notre Dame's first and potential only conference championship game. This is a special year, and I'm glad that we get to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And just, God willing, that come recap time, we're talking about the Irish having won their first ever conference championship.
Yep.
And that we get to enjoy talking about it. So on that note, Ben, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, with that said, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And as always, God bless, good night, and Irish bring home that first ever conference championship of the ACC. Go Irish.
Go Irish. Beat Clemson.